Welcome back, horror fans, cinephiles, and Giallo enthusiasts. This is Tanner Lacer here for The King in Giallo, and I've got a list of 10 unique weapons used in Giallo films, as well as unique methods of killing. So, first, I'll just say this is not an end-all, be-all list. These are just some of the things that I thought of and I wanted to present to you, but we'll see if this doesn't become a part 1 and we have a part 2 in a year or two. But let's get right to it. Number 10 are foxes used to rip a person to pieces in The Night Evelyn Came Out of the Grave. Admittedly, this isn't how the killing starts. Someone is bludgeoned with a rock, but they are left to die and be torn apart by the foxes, and it's rather gruesome, although the execution of it on film is kind of laughable. It's clear that they just threw pieces of meat inside pieces of clothes and just had the foxes rip it apart. But as much as it doesn't totally sell it, we get what they're going for. Number 9, a clarinet used in Sleepless. This is actually a very brutal kill. So this is the other opposite end of the spectrum, and you're watching this person's face get just smashed to pieces with a clarinet, and at least I think that's a clarinet, and that has to be a dummy head because they're just going full tilt into it. And yeah, it's actually a really great kill and one of the standout scenes in the movie. Number 8 is this spiked gauntlet from Blood and Blacklace. I'm not entirely sure what this is, or if this even is a real weapon. I've never seen it before, but that doesn't mean that it doesn't exist. But one of our ladies is grabbed by the killer, restrained, and then forced to see the weapon that will kill them. It is this weird little, almost like a hand gauntlet thing of armor with 3 spikes on it, and crunch. Number 7 is a fighter plane used in A Quiet Place in the Country. And this is part of a flashback of our hero uncovering what happened to this countess who used to live in the building he rents. And he's told that, well, this was around the time of the war, and I think it's an American fighter plane flew by and strafed the building, and she got hit in the gunfire. Now, I tried to keep gunfire off of the list because ultimately that's not too unique. But for a Giallo film, somebody getting gunned down with a World War II fighter plane is kind of cool and very different. So I made this exception. Number 6 is the Blade Fist from Death Walks at Midnight. This is, again, like the gauntlet from Blood and Blacklace, is this sort of made-up weapon. Now, there are things like trench knives, which are brass knuckles with knives on the side, so you can either punch or stab. This, not saying this never existed, but I can't say I've ever seen it in any historical context, talking about weapons of antiquity and things that were realistically used on the battlefield. But we've got this, and it seems to be the weapon of choice for our killer. Number 5 is acid, used in The Iguana with the Tongue of Fire. Again, our killer in this one sort of has an MO. They like to use acid at first and then finish off their victim with a nice placed slash to the throat. So maybe the acid isn't what finishes most of the people off, but the fact that it was so prevalent in most of the killings, I thought was very unique. In terms of when you read about this movie or you watch it, it's like, which one is that? Oh, it's the one in Ireland where the killer is throwing acid in people's faces. That's right, got it. And that's kind of a thing about a lot of Giallo films. Not a whole lot, but if you can say, oh, it's the one with this weapon, okay, so that's kind of the unique thing that movie's got going for it. Number 4, and this is slightly cheating because we don't ever see it, but we're told about it, and it is very unique, is the pressure chamber used in the forbidden photos of A Lady Above Suspicion. Dagmar Lysander's character finds out that this man who was a business associate of her husband's died in a pressure chamber from the bends. And as the movie unfolds, you find out how he died. Well, we know how he died, but who killed him more precisely. And like I said, I really wish we actually got to see this, but at the same time, the bends is not like a very... It's not like you're going to see the person like blood vessels, like popping up in their head, or they're changing color, or they're bleeding from the eyes or anything. It actually would have been kind of boring because it would have just been someone pretending they're dying. So I guess I get it, but it's still using a pressure chamber or a decompression chamber, if you will, unique. And people have died from not staying in these things long enough in order to sufficiently allow the nitrogen to dissolve from their blood. I think that's exactly what's going on, and people die of the bends. Number 3 is a snake used in The Night Evelyn Came Out of the Grave. So in this one, our killer sneaks up on someone holding a snake and kind of just holds the snake's head up and just lets them bite someone. And we get this amazingly bad, over-the-top death scene here where the person then is buried alive. But yeah, it's interesting because we'll see things where an animal, or like a snake or an insect, a dangerous insect, is placed somewhere, and someone is supposed to. It's a trap where someone is supposed to come in contact with it, but someone actually wielding it. Now that's pretty different. Number 2 is this decapitation machine in Trauma. This thing is so cool, and I love that it looks like it's a homemade, decapitation machine. It's a machine specifically invented to wrap around somebody's head, turn it on, and it just cut right through them. I mean, I guess I'd also call this like a garrote machine. I don't know, but if there's any semblance of fact, like this thing is real, I wouldn't be totally surprised, because it would have to have been for something else. But yeah, so I could be totally mistaken there that, oh no, this is actually a real device that's used for this purpose, for like severing limbs of trees or what have you, but someone is just using it to cut people's heads off. I don't know, but even if it is a real thing, it's pretty unique, and I can't say I've ever seen that ever before, after. I've never seen that in a slasher. It's just really nifty. I almost put this as number 1 because it really is one of the most unique weapons, but all in all, I have something else for you. Number 1 is this wooden sex toy used in The Sister of Ursula. I just remember when I first saw this movie, I kind of came up for the idea for doing a list like this thinking, oh wow, that I've never would have thought. I mean, it's so funny because it really makes sense for the genre that eventually it would go this route. And if Giallo didn't do it first, slasher films would definitely have done it. But It's insane. It's wild, and I honestly don't know how much I can get away with showing you. But those are my choices for 10 unique weapon kills or methods of killing. I know there's plenty more that I could have put on here, but all the more reason to do another list in the future. But let me know in the comments what you think are the most unique weapons you've seen in Giallo films, or most unique methods used to kill people. And hopefully you enjoyed this video, and if you haven't seen any of these movies, yeah, I recommend them all. Some more so than others, but yeah, that's all I've got for today. So this is Tanner Leeser for The King in Giallo, and if nothing else, I'll see you next time.
How'd you like to make love with him?